Hey, and welcome back to another Learning Java 2D Game Programming video. So in our last video, we made it so that we can place some scenery. I'm just gonna load back the other map. So now we can place these trees, which is fun and great, but currently we can't save it. So as soon as we exit out of our application, everything is gone. So I feel like there is a priority to fix that first. So let's make sure that we can save our trees and then load them back up again. So the way that we're gonna do that is we are heading over to our new scenery object. And now we're gonna implement persistable and implement those methods. So since we are saving a lot of different things, this class is going to have quite a big serialize method. But there's no time like now, so let's just do it. All right, so first let's just append this class. Get class and get simple name, and then let's append the delimiter. There we go, and then let's start. So first let's append the name, and I'm just gonna copy this so we have that in the clipboard. Oops, sorry, there we go. So first the name, then I want to append the position, but we don't have anything in that yet. So I'm gonna let the position and the size also be persistable. But I'm gonna do this a little easier, I think, than the other ones. So the position should never exist outside of some other game object or some other class. You shouldn't be saving the position on its own. So therefore, I'm gonna make it a little easier than the others. So I'm gonna say that the serialize is just return, I'm gonna say string.format, and let's do %d, and I'm gonna do this as a separator, and %d, and then we have to give it an cast to an int. There we go. And then to apply the serialized data, I'm just gonna get the tokens, which will be serialized data split, and since this is regular expression, we have to escape that character that we did. So let's split it on this character, and then let's say that width is equal to integer dot, x is equal to double dot parse double tokens 0, and then y is tokens 1. All right, that should be enough for that. So now we can say position dot serialize. But as you might have guessed just now, we're gonna have to do the same thing with the size. So here will be size dot that. So let's head over to size and let this also implement persistable. Implement the methods. And just like the other one, I'm gonna say string.format, but instead here, I'm gonna say percentage. No, it's the same. So %d, and then give it the width, and then give it the height. The only difference is these are already ints, so that's nice for us. And then let's get the tokens out. So string tokens is equal to serialized data split, and then the regex. So escape this character. All right, and then width is equal to integer dot parse int tokens 0. And then we have height, which is tokens 1. So let's close that off. Now we can continue here. So we have the name, the position, the size. Let's get the delimiter. I'm just gonna duplicate this a few times and then go in between and then say, let's do the render offset now. Append render offset serialize, and then append collision box offset dot serialize. String builder append collision box size dot serialize, and then let's append string builder append walkable, and I think that's it. So then let's just return string builder to string. All right, fine and dandy. And then when we apply our serialized data, let's first get the tokens out. All right, so I'm gonna say that name is equal to tokens at place 1, position, apply serialized data from tokens 2, size, apply serialized data from tokens 3, render offset, apply serialized data from tokens 4, collision box offset, apply serialized data from tokens 5, collision box size, apply serialized data from tokens 6, and walkable is equal to boolean.parse boolean tokens 7. All right, that should be everything applied. So now we can serialize and apply serialized data, and something is unhappy there. There we go. Now we can serialize and apply serialized data to a scenery object. So yay for that. Let's go to the GameMap and make sure that we include scenery inside of it. So first we need to save it somewhere. I'm gonna remove this string name. That was just something that we experimented with before. We never used it. So I'm gonna keep a list of scenery in here, and I'm gonna call it scenery list is probably the correct word, right? But sceneries sounds a lot cuter. Maybe we don't care about cute. No, I'm gonna write sceneries. It's also fine. Scenery list. All right. So first of all, let's make sure the scenery list is always instantiated to something everywhere. So in all constructors, it must be something. All right. And then let's see. All right, heading over to the serialize part. Let's, after we have the section with the tiles, make another section delimiter. And then I'm gonna say scenery list for each scenery. I will do, let's open up a block. We're doing two things. So first, we are appending scenery.serialize, and then we are appending, and I'm gonna use actually the column delimiter, and we might need to look over our naming, but that is because I actually want, the column delimiter currently is just a new line while the list delimiter is a comma and a space. And these are going to be quite lengthy, so having them in a row won't make sense. But that also means that this and the naming of these isn't entirely true. So we might need to look these over, but let's not do that now. Let's think about that later. This will work as long as we use it correct. We know how to use it. We decide how we serialize and deserialize our objects. So, all right. Here I'm gonna make a little change. So these sections, now we can have many different sections. So I'm actually gonna store it up here. I'm gonna say sections, which is this without the index at the end. And then now we can say sections 1 here instead. There we go. So after all of this, now we can check. And here's the great part. If you made a map before and you didn't save a section, then no worries. Let's check the length. So if it's larger than 2, that means we have these objects to load in now. So yay for that. I'm going to say scenery section, which will be the sections at index 2. So let's get all of the serialized sceneries. Scenery section split on column delimiter, since that's what we used between all of our sceneries. All right, now let's go through for each string serialized scenery inside of this array in serialized sceneries. Let's do a new empty scenery, and then let's apply serialized data, and serialized scenery is what we want. Serialized scenery, there we go. And then let's say this dot, we don't even need to do that. So scenery list, add scenery. So now we should be loading all of the sceneries back up. So that's all good. We need a way to set the list of sceneries in here. So let's just make a setter somewhere, maybe around here. Alt insert. Let's make a getter and setter for the scenery list. All right, I'm just gonna close that off for now. And when we save a map and load a map, so inside of the state, we already made a method to wrap load GameMap, so we have that inside of state. And I want to make one that is save GameMap, and I want us to use this one. And the reason for that is these methods are also going to be handling reading and giving these scenery objects as well. So it'll look like this. We say save GameMap, and we have the GameMap here, right? So before we save, let's set scenery list, get game objects of class scenery.class. So now we've copied all of the scenery game objects from the editor state, which it would be in this case, and then we set it inside of the game map before we save it. So after that, we can save the game map, right? And in the same way, after we've loaded this game map, which we do here, and we do map reload graphics. So after we have done that, let's say game objects, add all, game map, get scenery list. So that way, when we deserialize, all of these sceneries will end up in our game map object, and then we can just fetch them all and add them to the state. So that should be good. Now we just have to use this method instead of saving it directly using the map IO. Also, there's one more thing that we need to do. You see here, reload graphics. We are gonna have to do that also for our sceneries. So scenery list for each scenery, load, what do we call it? Load graphics. Oh, I don't think it has the right visibility. So if you just press Alt Enter, make load graphics public. There we go. So now that should be loaded. We need to use this. So we of course do that in the editor UI button menu. Here we use load GameMap, and it's saying that we can make a method reference, and that means we can probably have a method reference here as well. So save GameMap. So now we're using the save and the load GameMap. So let's just try that out. See if it works. All right, so I'm going into the editor and I'm loading back the map that we have, my map here. Let's place a couple of trees and let's press save. So first I'm just gonna close this off and I'm gonna open this maps inside of the out production my game maps mapism. So here you can see that it has saved our pine trees. So 4 of them, and currently we save all of the data for the pine tree, and really only the position has changed. So in the future, if we want to do some optimizations, we should of course save that. We should save a list of the different scenery types that we have, and the key can be this name. And then all of these values here will be the same, and only the position needs to be stored here. But that is an optimization that we can do in the future. For now, this is working for us. So that is great. If we just want to like try this out now, let's just go to the menu state, and here instead of it being GameMap is map.io load, let's use the method that we have, load GameMap, to make sure that it also loads in the objects properly. And let's do the same for the game state. So load GameMap. Now if we were to play, you can see that our trees are here. And we haven't done anything about non-walkable tiles yet, so that will be soon, but not yet. So that's why they can walk everywhere. But here you go. Here is the tree, and you can walk behind it. However, I feel like the position is still a little bit high, so we are going to change some more parameters. So actually what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go back to my map, and I'm just gonna delete these that we made because they need to get the new values. So if we head over to the scenery menu, I'm gonna make some changes to this again. So I'm gonna change this render offset a little bit. I'm gonna move it even further up, just a little bit there. And I'm actually gonna not have it that high. I am going to also change the collision box offset. All right, there we go. And you're gonna see what that did if we open up the editor now and load and press this. So you can see that it is higher up compared to my mouse pointer. And if you place one and press collision box, you're going to see that this is now the collision box. So you only really want it to be where the trunk would be, basically. And this will give a better effect when we walk between these trees. So I'm just going to save that. But also, I'm going to make another change to the humanoid collision box for the same reason. So find your humanoid, and I'm gonna get this down to 16. And you will see why. So we can actually quickly, now that we have this, here you have if other instance of player, but we can also have or, and let's do like this, or if other instance of, and we have scenery, and also that scenery other, so this is casting it, is walkable, only we want it to not be walkable. Also, we need to create this inside of the scenery. So return walkable. So now they should stop on trees or not walkable scenery. And let's actually first just copy all of this and go into your player, and at the bottom we have handle collision, and we don't care about if player, but let's keep this. If other instance of scenery and that scenery is not walkable, then do stop. All right, so let's try that. I'm just gonna play. And here you can see we are stopping, so I can't walk. All right, so isn't that fun? Yay! Now we can place and save our sceneries, and it should be fairly easy to add new ones as well. So I am happy about this. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Hej då!